Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CFO Insider. I am Amy Brownell, and I go live here on YouTube and on Facebook every single Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, to talk about all things CFO and advisory related. So today in our live, we are going to talk about one of the most valuable things you do for your clients, and that is the monthly meeting. I know it scares a lot of people. A lot of people get nervous about it. What do you cover? How long should it be? What do you do when the numbers aren't good? But I am going to walk you through my entire monthly meeting framework so you have an idea of what you need to say, being confident, and making sure that your client walks away with the fact that you are giving them something of value. So let's make sure that you show up ready. Now, before we get into it, I would love it if you would go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you are made aware every time we drop new content, every time I go live. And if you have any questions during the live, feel free to post them. I will get them answered during the live. And if it's after the live is over, I will go ahead and still respond to your questions. So definitely type those questions in. All right, let's hop into this. So why is the monthly meeting your most important client touch point? It is because this is the one time of month that it is all about your client and all about what you can offer and the value that you can create. It's important because it is where a lot of the problem solving happens. It is important because this is where your client gets an update of how their business is doing, what problems you're seeing, what some potential fixes could be. You're also going to get an idea of the types of things that are keeping that client up at night, solving some of these problems. So that is why it's important. So there are a couple of things that you need to do to prepare for the meeting. The first one is you need to review the financial statements. So usually this meeting happens when the month is closed. So typically, once all of the financial statements are done by the bookkeeper, whether you're the bookkeeper or someone else is doing that kind of work, you are going to want to schedule the monthly meeting once you have a good, clean set of financials. So typically that happens somewhere in the first half of the month after your closing. So let's just say we're in the month of July. Let's say the books were just closed for June. You could schedule the monthly meeting for now, anytime. So typically the monthly meeting lasts about an hour. It can last less. It's really dependent on how much you have to cover and exactly what kind of things are keeping that business owner up at night. So the length is more dependent on what is happening in the business and how long it's going to take to kind of talk those things through. But you can shoot for about an hour. Shouldn't last too much longer than that unless there's massive issues, which hopefully there is not. So the 3 things that you must review before this meeting is you need to review the financial statements, the balance sheet, the cash flow, the profit and loss statement. You are going to want to review those and understand what happened within the business during the month. Did sales go up? And understand why that is. Did sales go down? Did salaries go up? Did our cash position change substantially? What do we see that's happened within the month? So reviewing the financial statements and understanding what happened during the month. And we're comparing that month to either a budget or a forecast or maybe the prior year, the same month. So maybe if we're doing June 2026, we would compare that to June 2025. So you are going to want to understand what happened during the month. That is the first thing. The second thing that you're going to want to know is, based on what happened, making recommendations to fix issues and improve performance. So that is the second thing you're going to want to look at. The third thing that you're going to want to do is prepare any actions, prepare any to-dos from the last monthly meeting. So let's say that business owner had some concerns about revenue. Make sure you've done that revenue analysis. If they had concerns about pricing, make sure you've done that pricing analysis, whatever that looks like for your business. So the meeting structure, typically what I like to do is I start out with an agenda. Like I said, the meeting lasts about an hour, could be a half hour, but depending on what you have to cover. And the flow typically goes like this. Typically you cover what happened last month. If you have information about the current month, so let's say we're having the monthly meeting for June, we cover what happened in June. We cover what we see happening in July. And we cover the things that need to be talked about, the things that need to be fixed, the things that we need to do to expand on performance, things of that nature. So a question I often get is, how do I present financial results without overwhelming the client? Well, I'll tell you, the last thing that you want to do is overwhelm your client with a sheet of a zillion numbers. So what I typically like to do is I like to show this information in a tool that allows you to do a summary level P&L. And a summary level P&L is basically just the most important lines of the P&L, whatever is driving profitability. So it's usually revenue. If you're an inventory or you have a product-based business, cost of goods sold, maybe salaries, the big expense items that are driving the bottom line profitability. So you just want to see kind of those key line items. Everything else is kind of secondary. So that's what I like to do, showing them a summary level P&L. And the same with the balance sheet, hiding some of those lines that are not super relevant. So like, yes, we know that there's a lot of debt. Yes, we want to know cash. Yes, we want to know AR if the business has AR. Yes, we want to know AP if the business has AP. But do we need to see plant, property, and equipment? Do we need to see longer term assets or investments, things of that nature? So that's really looking at things from a summary level is how I like to best approach what to exactly look for with my client. And then what do you do when there is a problem? Let's say in this case, you're in the June monthly meeting and revenue is down. So a conversation would need to happen. You're going to want to ask, you're going to hopefully have done some digging into it and understand why revenue is down. If for whatever reason you haven't, or you ran into a roadblock, you're going to want to have a conversation with that business owner and say, hey, this month revenue was down 5% versus last June. What happened? And maybe they have an answer, maybe they don't. Then you guys have got to figure out how to get that answer. You need to dig into the financials, into the point of service system, and understand what exactly drove that business's revenue to be down. So that's what you're going to want to do if there is a problem. If there is a problem with cash, you're going to say, hey, I noticed cash went down. It looks like it went down because we paid some bills. We expect it to pop back up later in the month. We're good to go. What I always like to do is, if there's a problem, present a solution. The business owner is paying us to solve a problem. And we want to never present one without a solution. So that's definitely something that I would want to do. And then at the end of the meeting, the final stage of the meeting is you're going to ask that business owner, hey, what's keeping you up at night? What are you worrying about in the business? Maybe they're worrying about, hey, they have some bonuses to pay out and they're wondering if they have enough cash. Or maybe they are thinking about launching a new product and wondering if that makes sense. Maybe they're wanting to hire someone and wanting to understand, is this the right time to hire someone? Do the financials support? So really understanding what is happening currently in the business that business owner needs help with. That is where we really demonstrate our value. And then as the meeting wraps up, we come up with action items. Here are things that the business owner has to come up with. Here are things that we have to come up with as a CFO. And that is where this process is what makes our value real. It is where the magic happens. It is important that you go into it as that calm, cool, confident person in the room. Remember, you know more about their financials than they often do. So it's not something to be anxious or nervous about. It's something where you are able to demonstrate your expertise and the reason that they hired you in the first place. All right, so that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this edition of the CFO Insider. A couple of things. If you are interested in learning more about CFO and advisory work, if it's right for you, you should join my upcoming challenge. It is where I'm going to go through what these services are. We're going to do some case studies. I'm going to show you what you do with clients, the kind of work that you do for clients. I'm going to show you a tool that you can use to deliver these services even faster. And I'm going to show you a couple of methods how to get clients. So if you are interested in that, you're going to want to sign up for my challenge. It is called the Game Changer Challenge. And you can get there. The link is in the description of this video. It's gamechangerchallenge.com/register. So go ahead and do that. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to post them into the chat and I will go ahead and answer them as the live is finishing up. And I hope to see you next week for another edition of the CFO Insider on Tuesday, same time, same channel. Have a great week, everyone.